Hello, and good evening, and welcome to this evening's session of the Berkeley Forum. My name is Michael Chen. I'm the Vice President of Programming here at the Berkeley Forum. Before we begin, I'd like to remind the audience to silence all cell phones, close all laptops, and end use of anything that might distract from tonight's event. The Berkeley Forum is a nonpartisan student-run organization here at the University of California, Berkeley. Driven by students for students, our members work tirelessly throughout the year to enhance intellectual discussion on campus by bringing speakers to talk about the most urgent ideas of our time. Every aspect of our events is run by our student staff, from event photography to marketing to financial development to speaker invitations, moderating, and much, much more. Please subscribe to our events on Facebook and stay updated on our webpage at forum.berkeley.edu if you're interested in learning more about our organization. Tonight, the Berkeley Forum is proud to present a panel on keeping the arts alive, which will be led by our student moderator, Abby Guadarrama. And it's now my pleasure to welcome Abby to the stage.
So I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Wu Han, to the stage. Named Musical America's Musician of the Year, Candice Wu has risen to international prominence as a concert performer, recording artist, educator, arts administrator, and cultural entrepreneur. Wu Han appears regularly at many of the world's most prestigious concert series and venues. She also serves as artistic director of the Chamber Music Society of the Lincoln Center, and also launched Artist-Led, classical music's first musician-directed and internet-based recording company. Passionately committed to education, she taught at Carnegie Hall and the Jerusalem Music Center for many years, and in 2013 she established the Finkel Wu Han Chamber Music Studio at the Aspen Music Festival and School. I'd like to bring her up.
I'd like to just say she missed out on one of the most important projects that happened in the Bay Area. It's a summer festival called Music in Menlo, right in Menlo Park. 3 weeks, about 70 or 80 events, and with education component, lecture series, radio series, live recording project, concerts, and midday master classes. It's totally crazy, but it's incredibly fun. So you're always invited. Also, I'm a founder of a chamber music school in Seoul, Korea. I also run the Chamber Music Festival there every December. And also with the Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center, we have 9 concert series all over the United States that I founded. And so it's lots of fun to make art happen. That's my little speech.
All right.
Let's invite the other panelists.
Awesome. So I'd like to bring up Jeffrey Freeman up to the stage. Jeffrey Freeman has been has been the arts producer of KDFC for 6 years, producing the daily feature The State of the Arts and the monthly program Bay Area Mix, presenting local ensembles recorded live in concert. He worked at NPR in Washington, D.C. for 13 years, first at the show Performance Today, then as an editor and producer for the Arts Desk. He's worked in a variety of news and audio production jobs and studied music theory at the University of Michigan School of Music and film scoring at Berkeley College of Music in Boston, and has written for film, advertising, and dance performance. Jeffrey.
Can't get by without a script. So thanks for including me on this panel. And so my general spiel is, while it's true that the arts are in a precarious position, it's also a time of great resistance and ingenuity, which is fueled by the passion that got people involved in pursuing the arts in the first place. I've had the unique good fortune to see on a daily basis just how deeply a part of the fabric of the Bay Area the arts are. Hundreds of groups and organizations continue to come up with new seasons and at the same time strategies for survival, trying to attract new audiences while not alienating existing ticket buyers. I've been producing the 2-minute feature, The State of the Arts, for KDFC now for just over 6 years, and also Bay Area Mix. And KDFC has organized regular roundtables a few times a year with arts groups and presenters in the wine country and on the peninsula to ask what they're doing to keep going and growing in the face of tough challenges. A couple of observations we've heard again and again are that audiences are as concerned with the amount of time they spend almost as much as how much money they spend. And there's so much competition for their entertainment hour, let alone their entertainment dollar. There are far fewer season ticket holders these days, and people often don't commit to buying a ticket until the last couple of days, hours, or even minutes before a performance. Not knowing for certain that seats are going to be filled is the stressful situation that many presenters find themselves in. But there are efforts being made to reach directly to would-be audiences through social media and attempts to program concerts that take away some of the intimidation of the traditional concert hall or theater. And since our focus at KDFC is largely classical music, that's what I look at the most, but there are similar efforts really in every discipline. Targeting younger audiences with efforts like San Francisco Symphony's Soundbox performances, which feel like a multimedia cocktail party, or Group Muse, which is reviving the days of the house concert with chamber ensembles or soloists playing in people's homes. They both provide a low-pressure atmosphere that's social and community building, allowing attendees to test the waters and see what classical music is all about. We try to do the same at KDFC to make people aware of what's out there, because often the works themselves are the best way to convince someone of their value. A lot of what I've seen too involves specific outreach to kids, from youth orchestras getting players early, to busing kids to symphony concerts, to chamber music school visits and instrument petting zoos. Organizations that both entertain and connect to people's innate curiosity have the best chance of making a difference, and adapting to and being responsive to what the next generation of audiences want and need. Performances might look or sound a bit different than they did, but that kind of adaptation has been going on as decades of articles have talked about the imminent death of classical music, for example. I think that there's plenty to suggest that the arts are going to keep going, thanks to the great works, new and old, and interpreters of the works that inspire and who inspire us still. Sorry for relying on this.
So our next speaker is Myles Thatcher, a rising star of classical ballet, American dancer, and choreographer. Myles Thatcher has completed 9 seasons dancing with the San Francisco Ballet. Thatcher attended the Herod Conservatory in Florida and studied at New York's Ellison Ballet School before joining the San Francisco Ballet School training program. Thatcher choreographed Ghost in The Machine, Manifesto, and In the Pastorine's Clutch for the SF Ballet season, Frayed and Forgers for the international competition for the Eric Brunn Prize, as well as many others. Thatcher has choreographed for the San Francisco Symphony's multimedia production of Le Martyr de Saint-Sébastien and the feature-length movie High Strung Free Dance. In 2014, Thatcher was selected by Alexei Ratmansky to participate in the Rolex Mentor and Protégé Arts Initiative. Myles Thatcher.
Hi, I'm Myles. As you said, I've been with ballet for 9 seasons as a dancer and choreographer. I started making work when I was in the school there, and yeah, I've always just really loved ballet, even though I don't always agree with kind of what it is today, but I think we can really build it to something exciting, as in, you know, we'll see like a princess and point shoes being saved by a man, and I realize there's a kind of a time and place for that, but I think the work I try and create takes it down from this kind of elitist pedestal that it was really created upon. Like Louis XIV created it as a way to kind of define him in a social class, and then we kept creating ballets for the Soviet peasants needing some sort of light in their life. And now we're at a place where we don't need to really go to the ballet for, maybe sometimes for hope, but I think there's so many different ways we can start, I don't know, seeing humanity in ballet in a completely different way that I think we're actually achieving, but maybe not everybody quite knows about. So yeah, that's the kind of work that I'm hoping to make, and that I hope I have been making, and thank you for having me, and it's happy to be here.
And our last, but certainly not least, speaker is Meredith Hagedorn. Meredith Hagedorn began her performing career at age 3, singing and dancing on stage across the country. She moved to the Bay Area in 1999 and founded Dragon Productions Theater Company that same year. In 2013, Dragon took the leap into growth by building a new 70-seat theater in downtown Redwood City. Heading into their 18th season, Meredith and the Dragon team are working hard to make Dragon a performing arts hub on the peninsula, offering more opportunities year-round. Meredith.
Hi. Yeah, so 18 years doing this thing, this theater thing that has been dying for hundreds of years. So this is something we talk about in every meeting I go to. How can we keep from dying? Well, there's always going to be those of us who are passionate about theater, about acting. We're always going to see the movies and TV and say, I can do that. So we're going to try, and that's what we keep doing. We want to provide more opportunities for more people at my particular theater company. But there's a lot of us out there, so I definitely want to encourage those of you who are interested, just go to see live theater. And I know, don't be scared to see live theater. Those of you who go, we're competing with Netflix and your couch. I get that. So it's something that we all just say, you know, it's going to be a completely different experience, and nobody can really tell you that until you experience it yourself. So I hope that each of you will not be afraid. Don't think you've got to dress up or something crazy, and just go try to experience that, and you will feel the difference between television and movies and live theater. So, yay, thanks.
Again, thank you all so much for being here today. I first wanted to begin by talking about, audience, since audience is often very important in your respective fields. A study done in 2012 by the Boston Globe showed that the average age of a theater audience member in the U.S. was 53 and over, indicating that theater audiences continuously seem to be getting older. How do you see younger generations engaging with the arts in the future?
Yes, there's that. So I think, I'll answer your question, I promise. But to start off with the problem, which is that the arts are leaving the schools. So the older people, they get, when you say theater, they get live theater because it was something they grew up with, and it's something that it was just in the culture way back when. So they understand that, and that's why they're getting older, but those are the people who are coming to the theater because they get it. And the younger people aren't because they don't have it. They don't have it in the schools, they don't have it, their parents don't say, let's go to the theater. They say, let's go to see a movie, or let's watch a movie on TV. So that's the problem. So in order to try to, we can't just lump millennials in a whole category because everyone is an individual and everyone wants different things in life. But we do have to keep trying to make things new and fresh and exciting, and whatever that means. And just like he said, in everything is absolutely true, with the fact that people aren't subscribing anymore. They don't want to look ahead. They want to say, all right, what do I feel like tonight? And I may go. So we can't plan for what ticket prices are going to be, what revenue is going to come in. Because we just have to try to make things interesting, whatever that means. And yeah, nobody has solved that problem yet. That's why we keep talking about it. So.
There's a story of a shoe company that sent 2 salesmen to go to Africa to sell shoes. And after a week, the first salesman faxed back. This is a very old story. Dire situation, nobody wears shoes, all right? And then the second salesman, the same time, fax in, great opportunity, nobody has shoes.
Yes.
And I am the second one, I don't like the first one. In the chamber music world, what I have done, I've been on stage since I was 12. I admit it's a very complicated art form. It takes works. It's inspiring, but you have to work at it. And I also admit our audience are older. I also accept they can't digest so much information when they're young. When they are young, when they're exposed to it, they will get involved with it. But when they are old, when they finish paying the mortgage, paying the student tuition, somehow they show up. So in my projects, of Lincoln Center Chamber Music Society, right now is the only organization we have 8 years subscription increase.
Nice.
When I took over 10 years ago, our average attendance was 45%, now we're up to 85%, including all of the adventurous programming, new music, the most hardcore new music you ever attended. In Music and Menlo's case, we're 15 years, and we are most of the time sold out. The free concerts that we decided from the very get-go, this is a project we need to offer people, have no economic restriction. So we have prelude performance, we have performance design, anybody can come. Family is 6 o'clock in the afternoon, they can come 1 hour program, they can go have dinner, and it's always free. And we have a 500 seats hall, and most of the time we have about 350-ish.
Oh, for the preludes?
Yeah,
these-
preludes.
Yeah, they sell really, really well with the younger demographic.
This is my marketing director. And the demographic also is very healthy. So I will say a lot of people, I do this kind of panel quite often. I'm doing another one next week in called Arts Arena in New York. What we are dealing with is absolutely important for the society, and if every one of us believe in that, something will happen in our own way. Meredith founded a company, Jeff works for NPR, shares for NPR, and you create artwork, and I tend not to talk about there's a problem in the arts, there's a problem in the system, there's a problem when we talk about it. I truly believe nobody will want to jump on a sinking ship. Everybody will want to get on the fast running train, and I'm going to run so fast everybody has to catch me.
Nice.
So anyway, that's the way I approach things, and I think also we talk about, I know everybody talk about the intimidation factors. My take of it is that I got involved from a very poor kid, 9 years old in Taiwan in the rice field. My father took me to a concert, and I saw the most beautiful lady walk on stage with the most fantastic gown. It triggered so much fantasy and imagination. I was so inspired. I wanted to be a concert pianist. So in my world, because I'm a performer, I want to walk on stage, I want to look different. I'm an artist, it's important. I want to inspire everybody to do what I do. I put a lot of sweat and blood into my art form. I want to play really, really well, and I want somebody to pay attention to it. And so I am sort of on the other camp. I don't like to talk about, oh my God, there's also a problem, oh my God, people are getting old. I say, great, they get old, fantastic, let's go have a drink, now you can have a glass of wine. When you're young, you come, right?
There are also a lot of organizations and ensembles that have gotten together precisely because they're young performers who are fresh out of conservatory who say, there isn't anything out there that's exactly like what we want.
Correct.
And they're more likely to create art that is appealing to their friends, and they're more likely to spread the word through social media and do whatever.
Group music is a perfect example, and you know, every one of you can make arts happen in your community. In Music and Menlo's world, we have 15 years, we had 20 projects born out of that. We just tell our kids, go. You want a live concert? Go for it. You want a Berkeley Arts Forum discussion? Go for it. You know, if you just have a little extra energy, doesn't really cost that much money. I mean, yes, it does cost money. In the chamber music world, I have 2 people. I have a piano. I don't even need a piano. I have a violin, 2 violins. I will make a concert for anybody who wants to hear it. So you could make art happen. You just have to work really, really hard, like Meredith has done. I know what founder names. I did a few projects like that, and I tell you, you work so hard. You go to bed, you sing so hard. You wake up, you keep working on it, and you're so proud of it. I'm very proud of what we have accomplished and what I have accomplished, coming from a very strange background, and we can all make things happen. So that's my take of, your question about audience and all that. So.
Yeah, we kind of have the opposite problem where in order to put on a ballet, we need an opera,
Yes.
or maybe not an opera house, a sprung floor. The dancers are all on union
The lights.
contracts, point shoes, which are $100 a pop. The lighting crew, the stage crew, all on, it's like it's a whole orchestra, right? And the orchestra, we have our own orchestra, yeah. Yeah.
Answer those questions.
But at the same time, so I understand that not many people, especially young people, want to spend $80 on a ticket for something they frankly don't know if they're gonna like, or don't really, especially if it's a new work, they're like, everybody knows what Nutcracker is.
San Francisco Ballet do offer student tickets, right?
Yeah, we have some standing room tickets, but what's been really interesting is every time we do a free performance in Stern Grove every year, and up the mountain, like we always, when we're on, it's packed, and people get there at 9 a.m. for a 2 o'clock show, free in the freezing cold. So I think interest is there, and every year we'll do a night called Sensorium, which is geared towards people under 30, and I think they're maybe $29 tickets. And it's a kind of event where we'll do newer ballets, and you can like tweet about it in your seats, and then it'll show up on the curtain during intermission, and then there's like a DJ afterwards and a big party, and it's interesting because I do think there is interest, but I think the price point is hard to manage for the company.
That price point is important, and time of the event.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
important.
But it's also interesting to see how the ballet is trying to see ballet in a different way, and which is like, how can we, as artists, kind of transplant what we do here and put it in essence somewhere else, so you kind of understand what we're doing, and then maybe you'll be prompted to say, hey, this is really freaking cool, I'm gonna go to the opera house and see what this is about. It's as in like a pop-up where it's maybe not in a point shoe or something, or dance on film, which is also really an incredible way to kind of like merge a few different art forms and get something really beautiful.
Even the way you talk about your art form, the way you talk about the way you create art, is so fascinating. Now I want to spend $80 to come. Yeah, because what he's doing is really important for our society.
Yeah, well,
And
I
if
think
you
so.
believe-
Yeah.
If you believe that our society needs culture, that's what makes our society different, right? Then you should. And I tell you that you should support it, you should donate it, and you should take a chance to go do that. Because if you are in the other country, you will strip of that pleasure, or that privilege, or that opportunity. So treasure it.
Yeah, well, something that a lot of you already touched upon is kind of also how younger people have access to, different forms of art. A lot of the times, younger people find it more easy to find access to art forms through the internet, and while older generations, just want to go in person and see the art and experience it that way. And given this reality, do you see the internet as a means of widening the arts audience, or rather do you see it as a mechanism that sort of robs and takes away from that in-person experience? And how do you see that evolving for future generations?
Well, we have a lot of listeners who stream KDFC. I think there was a map that showed even on Antarctica there have been, streams listened to. So the same way you'd think if you're hearing a lot of the same repertoire, maybe some of the great classical, well, wouldn't that be boring, or wouldn't you? But I think if you hear things and you hear them again, it's like pop music. It gets in your head, and you say, oh. And then when you see it in concert, and you actually see what it takes to create that sound that's already in your head and familiar and not scary, it's an entirely different dimension when you see the physical effort that goes into it, and the communication between the musicians. So I think it only enhances, in the same way I think a lot of orchestras will, on their websites, in preparation for a concert, they'll put up a performance of the piece that they're going to do, which you might think is counterintuitive. Oh, if I can hear it here for free, but it's like handing out candy. You get repeat customers if you have a lot of candy. candy at Halloween.
Yeah, those NT Live performances that are showing in the movie theaters now of Broadway shows or shows coming out of London or whatever. I mean, that's the newest craze. It's happening and people are going to see those. And I hope that that's helping you want to maybe go see it live. I don't know, anybody who's nodded their heads and seen one of those in a movie, does it make you want to be there? Or do you not really care because you were seeing it? Yeah, okay, so that's good, so it's helping.
Well, every new invention, technology, is increased the separation of human contact, in my opinion. It's true.
Yeah.
In the old days, we all played the piano, we all have to make music, and then now you have CDs or whatever, and then now you have internet streaming. Now you don't even need to make music, you have music all the time. In the old days, you have to make music yourself. These devices, you can watch the live streams, you can watch Met broadcast, you can watch the ballet and all that. What you're missing is that sense of community, that when you hit a great performance in that room, you have goosebumps coming in the back, and you will never forget that experience. And I have so many of that kind of experience in my life that I treasure. So I think the technology is the place to spread the word, is the place to dabble, but I think all organization or all of us that in the arts all have to remind people that's why art exists, is that community sense, or that sense you want to share something with somebody. You can do that, maybe watch at home Netflix with somebody, with the other person, but you're not going to have that dead silence in the most beautiful part of the ballet. Like, I remember the Nutcracker when I first saw it, it was so magical. And I remember a couple concerts I played after September 11, the sobbing in the audience, I'll never forget that. I remember Beverly Steele was there, made a speech, and she said, this is, I think my husband's Emerson Quartet played the Bartok Fifth Quartet, which was written after the war. And it was one of the most powerful experiences. It's contemporary music, nobody understands it, but it was the quietest moment in concert hall I have ever experienced. People were just holding up their breath because that's what arts can do. So I don't believe the live performance will disappear. As long as we produce that kind of experience for people. A lot of people ask me, why do we have audience increase? And the only thing I would tell them is because our goal as an artist is to create those moments, and people will want to seek out those most important performances, those performances that everybody said was extraordinary in the theater. If you have a great theater show, it's always sold out. So go to seek out the best performance you can ever imagine, and then seek out the time to try to explore so you could be the expert to tell the difference.
Yeah, and can I say, do we have time?
Okay.
I think the big fear is that content that we put online and that we share is going to replace live performance. I think that's kind of what I hear from, especially a lot of older generations at the ballet saying, I think they want to keep the veil of what we do under wraps in order to make it more special on stage, but I do think sometimes that's at the expense of keeping it inaccessible and not really understanding what it is. In the sense that, like, when Beyonce dropped the Lemonade album, I bought the Lemonade album, and then when Beyonce came and did a live show, I loved that Lemonade album, so I went to go see the Beyonce show. So I think a lot of it is also just purely like marketing. How are we going to market our, we can all kind of relate to that, yeah. How are we going to market our art forms to make content online that's specifically to be online without replacing or bastardizing what we do in the theater? So I think what we're discovering now, especially since technology is being consumed so differently, and information is being consumed so differently every year, and I finally am seeing interest in the classical art forms of really how to kind of so I think it's more just figuring how to purely marketing standpoint, how to harness the people that are glued to their screens and get their butts in seats.
But I'm sorry.
Right, cool.
The problem, I know we shouldn't talk about problems, but I do see that, it's not something I can explain to you. It's like telling somebody who hasn't had a baby, oh, you'll never know the joy and the love, and oh my God, but, and I just nod my head, okay, great, no, I won't, because I haven't had a baby. But when somebody says, oh, you'll never understand the live theater experience and the community and all that if they haven't ever experienced it. You can't talk someone into that thing that happens to us, unlike sports. You can kind of talk about you can quantify, let's go play some sports. But that's, I think, the main issue that we're having is that how can I quantify the particular power of theater in words? You really can't unless you personally experience it, and you won't unless somebody drags you or something, and tries to break the seal, try to get you over the hump. So that's the thing that I'm saying is that, the arts are really difficult to quantify in words unless you've been able to have that particular experience that you're talking about. And not everybody has yet, so.
I remember when I first moved to New York, I was not very street smart. I'll talk to anybody. Street just for fun, wow, it's a great city. And my husband sort of say, you can't do that. But then he said, if you stand on the corner of Broadway and 66th Street, which is where Lincoln Center is, and he said, oh my God, what is that? That was amazing. You do this, in about 30 seconds, you have about 10 or 20 people around you look up and say, what the hell are you looking at? And we actually tried it. It worked. So, yes, it is very hard to quantify, but I think Myles, because I'm on stage, so it's my nature to always say, for my art form, and I'm so excited about playing my music, I usually can't stop talking about it, and in general, like most of my friends will somehow move the dial all the time. When I go to a party, hey, let's have a party with children music tomorrow night. Yeah, drinks and all that. That's the way I do it. I drag people in all the time. If I meet somebody on the street, I just tell them, yes, it's amazing out there. I'll give you a free ticket. Just come in. Let's go out and talk about this. And I don't know.
The free tickets help. They help a lot.
I do think, though, that the same kind of argument, though, about technology and is it going to threaten live performance was made in the dawn of the movies and TV. And I mean, you think that Amal and the Night Visitors was an opera that was first broadcast on TV. I mean, and it had a huge audience, and everybody now knows it. And community theaters and community, church groups and whatever put it on. It's probably, I think it funded John Colomana's festival in Spoleto.
Well, Toscanini's BBC orchestra used to be viewed by half of the population in the United States.
Yeah, and I mean, in that way, I don't know that it's diluting it as much as normalizing culture. And if you have access to culture, you're more likely to say, "Oh, this is something that I know that I want to explore." So, as far as it's not, pirated or keeping people from being in the seats, eventually, it does open up that door for exploration.
So it's marketing, it's using technology to reach your audience. I had a project in the Shaker Village in Kentucky.
I'm from Kentucky.
Really?
I've been, yes, I know the Shakers.
It was an after-concert drink of my husband with a local presenter. He said, how can we bring more chamber music to Kentucky? And my husband at Applebee's says, give me a drink. And then, so they had a couple of drinks. He said, you give me a barn, I will bring you chamber music. So this guy went to the Shaker Village. There's an old tobacco barn, it's about to fall down. And he went into the board and said, do you know the 12 quintet? Da, 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 da. And he sang the whole thing. And the board said, what the heck, what are you talking about? He said, yes, you're gonna have that 12 quintet in your tobacco barn. If you can give me $20,000 to build a stage through a few lights, I'll get you Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center and David Finkel and Wuhan. And he promised that without even talking to me. I thought both of them were out of their mind. And then this project now is on its 10th year. On the 8th year, it was such an unusual project. Where can you hear chamber music in the tobacco barn, right? In the Shaker setting, Live on Lincoln Center, came and shoot a documentary. Go to PBS, look for Simple Gift, Shaker Village. It was a whole 90 minutes, actually expanded to, it was supposed to be 60, expanded to a 90 minutes documentary. And that one was viewed by almost 1 million people. And the Shaker Village then, from that point forward, for now 2 years, all of the concert, all the rooms are completely sold out. And we're gonna add another weekend of the concert. And that's the power of the media. Absolutely, you should use it. But what makes it different is what's going on stage is really fantastic. And the setting is really spectacular. So if you put out a great dance, I'll definitely come. Doesn't matter how good. And if you have a great theater, we'll go there. And I'm a big fan of public radio.
For the sake of time, this will be my last question before I hand it over to the audience so they can get all their questions answered. So, I think it's very inspiring that all of you, present this ultimate passion for each of your fields and also the unique experience that the stage provides. But often the struggling artist is a trope that's always used in various media forms, which usually indicates that the struggling a career in being in the arts is like often hard to achieve. So what is your advice from each of you? What is your advice for other aspiring artists?
Well, I've got it. It was definitely something that when I said, all right, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go to LA, I'm gonna become a household name or whatever, not giving yourself a time limit, but you need support to do this. I mean, I went to college with a lot of people whose parents did not want them to go in that direction. And so if they say, we want you to have a real job or something to fall back on or something like that, then you're not going to be as open to trying to pursue that and opportunities. I think that's where I always said, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to take no for an answer. So I'm going to just keep trying and keep saying, yeah, I'm crazy, and that's why I can get it done. So I think that, in terms of, obviously, in terms of the Bay Area, working in small theater, you're not going to earn a living doing that. But there are ways of getting creative to, not just be a waitress or something, have a day job, but there are a lot of ways to make money in the general vicinity of what it is you want to do as an artist. It took me a long time to figure that out and leave the barista life and all of that, but say, oh, I could teach acting, or I could, be a stage manager, or work backstage, because you can make a lot of money doing that kind of thing. So try to don't be afraid to figure out how you can stay in the world of being an artist, and there are ways of being able to pay the bills if you need to and still do what you love to do. But unfortunately, we see too many people who just kind of give up on that and say, well, I'm going to audition, and then, oh, I didn't get to be Meryl Streep, so I'm going to stop trying, and that's sad. So once you find that there are ways, get creative, stay in the world, keep trying.
Yeah, as a music theory major, I knew that I was going to have to kind of obliquely, tangentially run alongside to be close to music, and now just by virtue of editing tape back when it was tape and working with sound and doing some radio and knowing about classical music, it does all kind of converge and make sense for what I'm doing now, and I get great opportunities to go talk to soloists who are coming through town and find out, get stories from them about what they're playing or what they're performing, and it's the same kind of thing. You can be arts adjacent and still get all of the satisfaction without having to do all of the practicing. So I mean that's my little shtick for not going full bore into the law.
And the salesman of me come out again. There's so many opportunities actually in the art world. We are in desperate need of leadership. We're in desperate need of good administrators. We need business people to run organizations. We need people, a lot of very successful executive directors. Right now is CMS, came from, was a lawyer. In music at Menlo, came from the production. It was moving chairs in Aspen Music Festival, and now he's an executive director. You can absolutely, like everybody said, you can find a place in the world, in the art world. In Music Menlo, we have an internship program in the summertime. We take probably 20 kids.
Yeah, it was 22 this year.
We pay them, train them. It's not a normal internship that you make photocopies. They come 4 weeks before the festival starts, and we train them from ground zero. We have now people in San Francisco Ballet department, New York Fields, artistic department, the Met, London Fields production department, artistic administrators. I have a couple of executive directors through the program. We are in such high demand for making a career as an administrator, or in marketing department. If you have passion, if you have talent, those jobs are open. And if you love raise money, you can make it.
And we open in January if you want to apply. The internship. We take a lot of college students from the Bay Area.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, right now in Chamber Society in the touring department, it was a kid who come from Berkeley. I met her here when I played a concert. She was helping me backstage. She became the intern in Menlo for 3 years, went to Washington Opera, and now she's in the center. So you can find job very easily. It's contrary of all the myths like nobody's making a living. Not true.
I guess my advice is to not be afraid to work your ass off, really.
That's right.
Because I think success comes down to talent, some sort of talent, of course, and also opportunity and privilege, of course. But at the end of the day, it's really keeping working hard and not being afraid to work hard. I think not being deterred. You have to be a little delusional. At least to be a ballet dancer, you have to be a little bit delusional.
Yeah,
same with
And you
and a
have to-
masochist.
And a little bit of masochist, but I think a lot of it is drinking your own Kool-Aid enough to keep you going without going completely under and being delusional. But I think just kind of knowing your worth in both the good and the bad, in both, of course, like knowing what you need to work on, but knowing your strengths, and to be able to identify the people who will help you get better, and to find kind of the team that's going to allow you to grow. I think a lot of success is attributed to carving your own path and finding your own way into things. I don't know, that's how I feel. It's really kind of like staying honest with yourself and working your ass off, I guess.
But that is no different than any other profession you could enter.
Yeah.
Yeah. You had to be curious, you had to be passionate about it, to do what you love to do, and you had to work.
But I also think like that's what's so interesting about that arts and humanity is like now we can find whatever we want on our phones anyway. But to stick with something that where you have to put in hours upon hours upon hours, which is just about being a craftsperson, really. I think that's what people who are interested in arts or interested in any sort of arts or crafts, it doesn't sound quite right.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of the beauty about humanity, is that we are interested we're curious and we're interested in digging into something. So it's about just not being afraid to do the thing that you want to do, really.
Well, thank you all for answering my questions. I believe we do have a couple minutes for audience question and answer, so who has a question? Yes, in the back.
The Bay Area is an exception, but I wondered what you thought of the idea that performing arts organizations like the symphony and ballet should get in the business of providing public housing for artists.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
I was in Milan last week with a major patron trip with Lincoln Center and Music and Menlo. Do you know Verdi? There's a place called Casa Verdi, and Verdi was the only composer opposite of Wagner. He used his influence and he used his proceeds for all of his opera, create this foundation, and the foundation bought this beautiful piece of building. And if you can prove you have been making a living as a musician, you can apply and retire there.
Awesome.
And we're all qualified.
Yeah.
And his goal was he make everybody donate, the architect donate, the building, the city donate the land. Toscanini came in and did a benefit concert, and it's called Casa Verdi. It was fascinating. And in there, they have all these old singers, especially many come from La Scala, and some people from the orchestra. I met a pianist who was a jazz pianist in the cruise. And Verdi's idea is that we have to take care, as a musician, we have to take care of our colleagues. And it's one of the most touching story. I didn't realize that. But yes, Mark, I think symphony and ballet are the most difficult, the most expensive art form in the music world. I don't know anything about theater, but I know the math is really daunting.
Yes, we need to house our designers and actors. Yes, that would be amazing.
So what would it take?
It would take having relationships with landlords and having landlords that understand that, you know, for a nonprofit, they would get a tax break if they went down that road. But a lot of landlords just want to make money, and I get that. That's what they're there for. But yeah, that's what it would take. But there would be, especially in the Bay Area, there would be just a run of people wanting to live at those places. So.
But why couldn't you buy the property? If you're the symphony, if all the performing arts organizations got together and used their access to donors and actually bought buildings, bought the space themselves.
Oh my, that's just such a huge barrel of monkeys, buying buildings. I mean, I know that I've had 2 leases and tried to go down that road, so it's complicated. There's a lot there, but that'd be awesome.
Well, since in our society, our government does not support us, which is such a pity, opposite in Europe. When you're in Europe, the funding is straight coming from the government. It's amazing. Here, we are purely dependent on individuals that understand the importance of having arts, having these high arts that are food for your soul, for human spirit. And so we're heavily dependent on development work, on friendship, on finding people are visionary, finding people that does not calculate the return. Because you can't calculate the return in art, in the work we do.
I mean, if it's a nonprofit, you're getting tax breaks, property tax, and all of that jazz. But yeah, you're gonna find each organization, the bandwidth in every organization, it's more or less zeros, but we're all having the same issues. So it's always gonna be who on my staff is gonna go knock on doors and go, you know, really pursue that avenue when that's not particularly doing the work. It's a priority. It's always a priority thing. It would be awesome. It should be a high priority, but.
Looking for people who commission work, would support young artists. They are out there. And it's not like, feeding a village or buying goats to get milk for, it's not that. It's something not really quantifiable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just so important. I have no other way to describe it.